Picture this. You walk into the grocery store, spot a carton of eggs and think, fresh, safe, and healthy. The label promises farm fresh, cage-free, maybe even organic. But behind that clean packaging, the truth is far more troubling. What looks like a simple staple could be hiding industry secrets that put your health and your wallet at risk. Today we're counting down the hidden truths about eggs. Secret number 1, it could change how you shop forever. Stay with us to the very end, because we're not just exposing the problem, we'll show you how to protect yourself. Starting off with secret number 7, the freshness illusion. You walk to the egg aisle, scan the cartons, and the date on the package whispers fresh. The truth? That date often lies to your face. Here's how the trick plays out. Stores use sell-by, best by, or XP dates mainly to manage inventory, not to protect you. Processors can pack eggs, ship them, and the cartons can sit in distribution centers and on shelves for weeks before you pick them up. The USDA guidance and state rules give stores leeway on dates, while quality and safety depend on packing date and refrigeration chain, things most shoppers never check. In fact, official guidance says eggs kept at proper refrigerator temperatures are safe for a limited window measured in weeks, not months. That window is narrower than many shoppers assume. What this means in real life: you buy what looks like a spotless carton, bring it home, and 2 weeks later the yolks flatten, the whites thin, and the smell changes. Those are quality losses. Worse, older eggs have larger air cells and thinner shells, raising the chance that bacteria like Salmonella can travel through microscopic pores if the shell's integrity is compromised. Seniors whose immune systems are weaker, or who take medications that stress kidneys or liver, are much less able to ride out a foodborne infection. A fresh label that's really a 30 to 45-day-old egg is a risk you didn't bargain for. You also need to know the pack code. Many cartons hide a 3-digit pack date, Julian date, that tells when the egg was actually packed. That number is the real clue to freshness. If you can't find the pack date, assume the carton could be several weeks old. The USDA advises that once refrigerated, eggs are best used within about 3 to 5 weeks from purchase for quality and safety, and some state guidance places the safe use window around 45 days after packing. That's a much shorter clock than the months some shoppers imagine. The sensory experience seals the betrayal. A carton that looks pristine, a faintly tinny shell, yolk that spreads rather than domes, an off smell when cracked. These are red flags seniors should not ignore. Even if the egg looks fine, age affects nutrient quality. Some vitamins degrade and makes eggs less safe for slow gastric transit in older adults. Practical shopping moves for seniors. Always check for a pack or Julian date and buy the newest carton on the shelf. Store eggs in the coldest part of your refrigerator, not the door, and use within 3 to 5 weeks of packing. Do the sniff and visual check at home and discard any egg with an off odor or discoloration. If you're serving eggs to someone frail, cook thoroughly. The safest internal temperature for egg dishes is 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Celsius. And consider pasteurized egg products for recipes that call for raw or lightly cooked eggs. These steps cut down the risk that fresh actually means old. When did you last check the Julian/pack date on your eggs? Drop the brand and whether you found the code, or if this is news to you. Fresh is marketing unless you verify the pack date and follow the fridge rules. For seniors, that handful of days can be the difference between a harmless breakfast and an avoidable trip to the clinic. Coming in at secret number 6, cage-free, the label that sells comfort but often delivers a cramped barn. You read cage-free, and your brain fills in sun, grass, and happy hens wandering. The sensory picture sells the premium, a bright yolk, a taste of pasture. The betrayal is both visual and systemic. In the US, cage-free is a legal production claim that usually only guarantees hens are not in battery cages. It does not guarantee outdoor access, small flocks, or even low stocking density. Many cage-free hens live inside huge barns with thousands of birds, tightly packed and stressed. The welfare gain over battery cages can be minor, and the disease risk can actually rise when thousands of birds live close together. Government and watchdog pages explain that cage-free can mean indoor roaming at high densities rather than pasture life. From a health standpoint, crowded indoor systems can increase disease pressures and antibiotic use, both trends that matter for seniors. Where disease pressure is high, producers may use antibiotics more frequently to control outbreaks. That can contribute to antimicrobial resistance or leave residues that complicate medication interactions, especially in people on multiple prescriptions. The marketing charge you paid for a cage-free carton may be buying optics, not lower microbial risk. Investigations and consumer reports show big differences between cage-free, free-range, and pasture-raised. And many consumer groups urge buyers to look for credible third-party verification if animal welfare or lower antibiotic use is important. What to watch for? Cage-free alone is an incomplete story. Free-range or pasture-raised usually implies outdoor access, but still vary by certification. If you want to reduce antibiotic-linked risks, look for certified labels that verify low antibiotic use and independent farm audits. At farmers markets, ask vendors how many hens per barn, whether birds get outdoor time, and whether they use routine antibiotics. For seniors, these extra questions can help reduce the chance that a carton labeled cage-free hides crowding and higher disease risk. Did you think cage-free meant free roaming outdoors? Tell us where you shop and whether you'd like a quick label cheat sheet. Paying more for cage-free buys a nicer feeling, not necessarily healthier eggs. If you care about real animal welfare and lower disease pressure, ask for verification, farm details, or pick pasture-raised from trusted sources. Arriving at secret number 5, the hidden chemical wash. That spotless white shell in the store didn't get that way by magic. It was usually scrubbed, rinsed, and sanitized before it even hit the carton. In the US, commercial egg processors are required to wash and sanitize shell eggs intended for retail sale. Sanitizers commonly include chlorine or approved equivalents, and eggs may receive a sanitizing rinse as part of USDA grading and processing rules. That practice removes visible dirt and fecal residues, but also strips a natural protective layer, the cuticle that helps keep bacteria out. Regulators allow carefully controlled washing and sanitizing because the US approach pairs washing with refrigeration and other controls. But the process raises questions about residues and about what's lost when that natural barrier is scrubbed away. EPA and USDA guidance covers allowed sanitizers and concentrations. Industry and scientists debate the trade-offs. Contrast that with the European model. EU marketing rules generally forbid washing grade A eggs because leaving the cuticle intact is judged to be safer when combined with strong poultry vaccination programs and strict farm biosecurity. In the EU, producers tend to vaccinate more comprehensively against Salmonella and rely on the egg's natural defenses rather than washing. The result? Eggs in many European countries can be stored at room temperature for a while and don't go through the same chemical wash process used in the US-EU rules. Explicitly discourage washing because it can damage the shell barrier and increase risk if drying and storage aren't perfect. What does this mean for seniors? First, cleaning eggs in chlorine or other sanitizers is legal and common in the US. And while residue rules limit chemical levels, repeated exposures add to your overall chemical burden, something to consider if you have kidney or liver impairment. Second, the washing process makes thorough refrigeration essential. Once the protective cuticle is removed, eggs must stay cold to keep bacteria like Salmonella from multiplying. The combination of chemical wash plus imperfect cold chain is exactly the blind spot that turns clean-looking eggs into a hidden hazard. Practical steps for shoppers. If you prefer unwashed eggs and local farms are available, ask the farmer about their practices and whether they vaccinate hens or follow strict sanitation. If you buy store eggs, assume they were washed and keep them refrigerated at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, or lower. Use them within the recommended refrigerated window and cook them thoroughly if you're serving someone vulnerable. For recipes that use raw eggs, consider pasteurized egg products to avoid the risk entirely. Did you know US eggs are usually washed while EU eggs aren't? Would you switch to local unwashed eggs if you knew the farmer's practices? A sparkling clean shell can hide a stripped cuticle, and that makes eggs more dependent on perfect refrigeration. For seniors, that's not a cosmetic issue, it's a safety one. Arriving at secret number 4, the labeling maze. Words that sell comfort, not safety. You pick up a carton that says "Farm Fresh" in big letters, scans the room for a smiling farm scene, and pay extra because the words feel like a promise. The betrayal is this. Many of the most persuasive phrases on egg cartons, natural, farm fresh, all natural, even free range when used without third-party verification, are marketing tools, not ironclad guarantees about how birds were raised or how safe the product is. Government and university reviews show shoppers routinely interpret these claims as meaning safer, healthier, or more humane production. And that assumption drives buying behavior even when those labels don't legally require those outcomes. Why this matters for seniors? Labels can hide the things that actually affect health: antibiotic use, on-farm disease control, vaccination practices, and processing steps like washing. A 2024 supermarket survey and other consumer studies found a majority of people assume phrases like farm fresh mean outdoor access and better safety. But those words often lack a legal standard and can be applied in ways that don't match the consumer image. That gap between expectation and reality matters when the real threats are foodborne bacteria, antibiotic residues, or weak cold chains, risks that carry heavier penalties for older adults with chronic conditions or weakened immune systems. Look at the sensory betrayal. A carton that brags about a sunny pasture but contains eggs from large indoor barns with thousands of hens. You buy with confidence and later learn the farm used routine antibiotics or had a recent recall. For seniors on multiple meds, extra antibiotic exposure or a Salmonella infection is not a minor inconvenience. It can cause hospital stays or interfere with chronic treatments. The way to avoid that bait and switch is simple. Don't rely on vague buzzwords. Look for specific claims backed by third-party certifiers. For example, certified pasture-raised, certified organic, or verified animal welfare programs. Check whether the brand publishes farm or flock information, and favor transparent suppliers who list pack dates and testing practices. Practical checklist for the aisle. If a carton uses a feel-good term without a recognizable certification logo, treat it as marketing. Ask questions in the store or check the brand website for details like flock size, outdoor access, vaccination policies, and whether the product is third-party audited. For seniors, it's worth paying a little more for transparent sourcing. That premium buys clarity, not just a pretty label. Which egg label confused you the most? Drop the brand and what you assumed it meant. Pretty words don't protect a frail immune system. Facts and verification do. Secret number 3, cholesterol and senior health. Why one yolk is not the same for everyone. You crack an egg, admire the bright yolk, and hear the protein pitch. Nutritious, muscle building, great for breakfast. The betrayal sits inside that golden center. One large egg contains roughly 186 milligrams of cholesterol, and emerging long-term evidence ties higher egg or dietary cholesterol intake to small but meaningful increases in cardiovascular risk. A major pooled analysis published in JAMA found that each extra half egg per day was associated with a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality, with stronger associations in some groups. For seniors who already face higher baseline cardiovascular risk, that additional dietary cholesterol matters. Put this into plain terms. If you eat an extra egg every day on top of other cholesterol sources, the long-term effect isn't neutral for many people. The study adjusted for many factors, but the takeaways are cautionary, especially if you have existing heart disease, type 2 diabetes, or high LDL cholesterol. Labels that highlight protein and good fats can bury this risk in small print. Seniors on certain heart or cholesterol medications should talk to their clinicians about egg intake, because the balance between protein benefit and cholesterol risk depends on individual health history and medication regimens. Sensory betrayal. The same yolk that tastes rich and satisfying can quietly nudge long-term cardiovascular risk. Practical senior steps. Don't demonize eggs, but be deliberate. Limit whole egg intake if you have cardiovascular disease or diabetes. Favor egg whites for protein when you need a low cholesterol boost, and discuss a safe weekly limit with your doctor. If you love eggs, use them more in mixed dishes, one yolk stretched across multiple whites, or in an omelet with lots of vegetables, rather than a daily double yolk habit. Did you know an egg has nearly 200 milligrams of cholesterol? Tell us if you've changed your egg habit after learning this. One yolk may taste innocent, but over weeks and months it can add up in ways your heart notices. Arriving at secret number 2, Salmonella's silent threat. Eggs can carry a risk you can't see. You might assume a clean shell means safety. The betrayal is how invisible this danger is. Salmonella can live inside the egg, not just on the shell. Recent multi-state outbreaks and large recalls show eggs remain a recurring vector for Salmonella infections. In 2025, the FDA and CDC investigated outbreaks linked to millions of recalled eggs and dozens to nearly 100 confirmed illnesses in one wave alone. Public health investigations repeatedly show many of the people who fell ill reported eating eggs or egg-containing dishes before getting sick. For younger, healthy adults, this can mean a rough several days. For seniors, it can mean severe dehydration, hospitalization, kidney stress, and greater chance of complications. A broader context matters too. Salmonella causes a substantial number of foodborne illnesses in the U.S. each year, in the order of hundreds of thousands, and eggs have been implicated in multiple large outbreaks and recalls. In 2025 alone, high-profile recalls involved more than 1 million eggs and led to dozens of confirmed cases and hospitalizations. These events show that modern supply chains and processing problems can spread contaminated product widely before it's pulled. That makes eggs a higher payoff target for vigilance, especially if you cook for or are an older adult. Practical senior actions to cut salmonella. Risk. Always refrigerate eggs at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Never use cracked or dirty eggs. Cook eggs until both whites and yolks are firm, or reach 160 degrees Fahrenheit for egg dishes. And avoid raw or lightly cooked preparations, homemade mayonnaise, soft scrambled for high-risk people, or uncooked cookie dough. If you or someone you care for is frail, consider pasteurized egg products for recipes that normally use raw eggs. And check recall lists before you use a carton. Recent outbreaks show that recalls happen and that the shelf can still contain the product until you remove it. Have you ever been affected by an egg recall? Tell us which brand and how you found out. Salmonella hides where you least expect it. And for seniors, an egg-related illness can be far more than a few bad days. Finally, at secret number 1, the one label that quietly lets the whole system gamble with your health. You stare at the carton and trust the dates and badges, sell by, best if used by, or pasteurized. The betrayal is that those labels do not mean what most people assume. First, the dates. The big printed sell by or use by on the carton is mainly an inventory tool for stores. It tells the retailer when to pull a case from the shelf, not when the egg is safe to eat. The real freshness clue is the pack, Julian date, a 3-digit code that tells when the eggs were actually washed, graded, and put in the carton. If you don't check that code, you could be buying eggs that were packed weeks earlier. Experts say once eggs are properly refrigerated, they should be used within a few weeks for best quality and safety, not months. That short window matters more for older adults, whose immune systems and organs are less forgiving of a foodborne hit. Second, the pasteurized catch. Pasteurized shell eggs exist and are treated to destroy salmonella, so they're the safer pick for recipes that use raw or lightly cooked eggs. But pasteurized shell eggs are still a niche product, and not every carton labeled pasteurized is common on the shelf. And no label makes food 100% risk-free. Pasteurization greatly reduces salmonella risk, but proper refrigeration and handling still matter. The FDA and USDA advise that pasteurized egg products are the safest option when a recipe calls for raw or pooled eggs. Third, recalls and real examples. Even inspected production lines and major retailers have had wide recalls in recent years. Incidents that sent millions of eggs back and sickened dozens. Outbreak investigations in 2025 show eggs can move through the supply chain fast before a recall removes them from shelves, which means the carton you pick today might be part of an ongoing probe tomorrow. For seniors, a single contaminated meal can cause hospitalization. For the industry, it's an invisible gamble. Practical image to hold on to. A clean carton on the shelf that still carries an internal clock and an invisible supply chain. Don't let bright packaging do the thinking for you. Did you know the sell-by date isn't the real freshness date? Tell us if you ever checked the pack code and where you shop. The label can look like a promise, but a promise without a pack date and proper handling is just hope. For seniors, hope isn't enough. You made it this far. Good. Here's a simple, printable checklist you can use next time you buy eggs. No jargon, just the exact moves that cut risk for older adults. Check the pack Julian date first. Every egg carton in the United States has 2 different dates that matter: the sell-by or use-by date and the lesser-known pack date, also called the Julian date. The pack date is the one you should care about most because it tells you exactly when the eggs were washed, graded, and put in the carton. It appears as a 3-digit code running from 001 January 1st through 365 December 31st. For example, a carton with 032 was packed on February 1st. Always reach for the carton with the highest and most recent number. That's the freshest one on the shelf. Properly refrigerated, eggs are best used within 3 to 5 weeks after that pack date. Waiting longer can mean flavor loss, changes in texture, and a higher risk of bacterial growth. Seniors, whose immune systems may not be as strong as they once were, should treat the pack date as the gold standard for safety, not the sell-by label. Ignore vague marketing words. Trust certification. Egg cartons are plastered with feel-good words like farm fresh, natural, or all natural. These terms are not regulated and don't guarantee anything about quality, nutrition, or safety. You may feel reassured, but they are often little more than advertising tricks. Instead, look for certifications that are actually meaningful. USDA organic means the hens were raised under specific specific conditions and the farm is inspected. Certified humane or animal welfare approved are other labels backed by independent third parties. Pasteurized is another label that makes a difference, especially for anyone at higher risk of infection. If a carton includes a farm name or a trackable pack code, that's better than vague marketing. The lesson here is simple. Words that sound nice don't protect you. Certifications and clear sourcing do. Buy pasteurized eggs for raw or pooled recipes. If you're making recipes that call for raw or lightly cooked eggs, like Caesar salad dressing, hollandaise sauce, eggnog, or homemade mayonnaise, regular supermarket eggs carry a real risk of salmonella. The safer choice is pasteurized eggs, which have been treated with heat just high enough to kill bacteria without cooking the egg. They look and taste the same, but are far less likely to make you sick. The same goes for cooking in bulk. When you crack many eggs together into one bowl for a casserole or breakfast buffet, one contaminated egg can taint the whole batch. Seniors or people with compromised immune systems should always stick to pasteurized eggs in these situations. They may cost more, but hospital bills cost far more than that. Don't wash commercial eggs at home. This one surprises a lot of people. Eggs in the US are already washed and sanitized at the plant before they reach the store. Washing them again at home is not only unnecessary, but dangerous. The eggshell is porous, and scrubbing it can actually push bacteria through the pores and into the egg. Instead, keep them dry and cold. If you buy unwashed farm eggs, clean them gently under warm running water just before using them, and then dry them immediately. Never soak them, because standing water makes contamination more likely. Washing farm eggs too far ahead of time also strips away the natural protective coating that keeps bacteria out. Check recalls and outbreak alerts quickly. Egg recalls happen more often than most people realize, and they can affect millions of cartons at once. Contaminated eggs often make it into the supply chain before being pulled back. That means the carton in your fridge could be part of a recall, and you wouldn't know it unless you check. The CDC and FDA regularly post updates on their websites, and recalls are also widely reported in the news. If you hear about an egg recall, look for the plant number and pack date on your carton and compare it to the recall notice. If it matches, throw them out or return them for a refund. For younger people, food poisoning may be unpleasant. For older adults, it can mean hospitalization. Checking takes only a minute, but can prevent weeks of illness. Buy local when it's transparent, but ask the right questions. Buying eggs at farmers markets or directly from local producers can be safer, but only if you ask the right questions. Don't just assume local means better. Ask whether the hens are vaccinated against salmonella, how often eggs are collected, and whether the eggs are washed or unwashed. Also, ask about outdoor access and feed practices. If a farmer gives clear, confident answers and provides a pack date, that carton may be safer than a supermarket brand with vague labels. But if the answers are evasive or unclear, don't risk it. Transparency matters more than friendly smiles. If someone is frail, choose safer swaps. For seniors with weakened immune systems, chronic illness, or a history of heart or kidney problems, even properly handled eggs may still pose risks. In these cases, it's better to switch to pasteurized egg products, which are already liquid and safe to use, or use alternatives like egg whites from cartons. For extra protein, you can also substitute foods like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese in recipes where eggs aren't the central ingredient. These swaps allow you to keep variety in your meals while reducing the chance of foodborne illness. When in doubt, cook eggs fully and avoid any recipe that leaves them raw. Quick cheat sheet to keep in your phone or fridge. At the end of the day, the safest egg practices boil down to a few essentials you can remember or print out. Buy. Choose cartons with the newest pack date, certified labels, or pasteurized if you plan to use them raw. Store. Keep eggs in their carton in the fridge at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Use within 3 to 5 weeks. Cook. Make sure yolks and whites are firm, and heat all dishes to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Stay away from cracked eggs, meaningless labels, and raw egg recipes if you're serving seniors. You've just heard the secrets the industry hoped you'd never learn. They count on you staying in the dark. But now, you're not. Which secret shocked you most? Tell us in the comments. And subscribe now. If you're watching on your TV, just tap your remote, because next week's expose might be the one that protects your health, your money, or someone you love.